Before I get into my video, do me a favour, click on the like, click on subscribe. All that sort of stuff makes my stupid old head have a smile from there to there. So let's get into the video. Let me just take you on a little trip down memory lane, and it's quite relevant because in 1983, that was the birthday of this thing, because the serial number dates this as 1983. 1983 was when I started senior school. I also watched E.T. the Extraterrestrial and Rocky 3 on VHS video. Now that just seems like a lifetime ago, and for some people it literally was a lifetime ago. I'm only in my early 50s, I'm actually 54, and this just seems like another life I'm talking about. Rocky 3, E.T., starting senior school. You get the point. It's called a trip down memory lane. And as I've already mentioned, this saxophone was made in 1983. So I remember also when I was a kid, the adult saxophone players and teachers around me doing a thing called moaning, complaining. The Mark 6 cult just moaned about anything that wasn't a Mark 6. Well, I should say anything that was later than a Mark 6. That's what they seemed to do at the time in the 80s. But let's fast forward to the present day, and the Selmer Super Action Series 1 is now revered as a very, very good instrument. Same as the Mark 7. The demand for the Mark 6 is always going to be there, but the Mark 7 has now increased in popularity and price, same as this Selmer Series 1. The people moaning and whinging about it back then were way off the mark. They were totally wrong to moan about the Mark 7 and the new Super Action, because it's proven the test of time, and it's proven in general to be a very popular and very good instrument. What am I doing? I'm now catching myself whining about people whining in the 80s. Anyway, let's get on to more positive stuff. This tenor, I picked it up from somebody I know, and he's a really nice guy, but he got his saxophone and he had it overhauled, but something wasn't quite right about it. So, anyway, it come into my hands. Less said about what was done to it. Let's just focus on the positive now. The good stuff is that I took the saxophone off his hands and I absolutely blitzed it. I redone it. I stripped it down. Did it my own way because it really needed it, and now it works absolutely fine. So let's have a quick look around this Super Action. The first thing I noticed about this tenor was that it has no fancy engraving. It's just a bare brass tenor, although it does have the Selmer logo and the Super Action logo written on the bell there. Now, a lot of the Chinese horns that you see out in the market today, particularly the cheaper ones, have definitely been inspired by the Series 1 and the Series 2. So look at this low C here. You see a lot of these horns have this extended bit, or as I call it, the bulbous bit on the C. That seems to be a little trait that they've acquired from the likes of this Series 1. It has the high F sharp key, and the key next to that with a nice pearl button is the reverse F sharp. I like that key a lot. Pearl touches are very nice. That's quite a consistent thing with Selmers. They have very good quality pearl buttons on the right hand, the left, just basically all round. They are very nice to feel and they work very well. If you look at the layout of these buttons here, this front auxiliary F key is very like the Mark 6. It's a very nice design and it does feel very good. 1, 2, 3, this thing here. If you notice a lot of these new modern horns, it doesn't matter if they're from China or wherever, they've copied that design 100%. If you see something good, if it works, you just copy it and then it becomes the norm. Where my little pinky's wiggling around at, this pinky cluster feels very good. It also has this raised bit on the low B flat. The low B flat to C sharp has that rocking mechanism. It feels very easy for your little finger to navigate itself around them keys. An indication of how I'm going to like an instrument usually comes from the placement of the palm keys, because I'm up in that area quite a lot when I'm playing, but overall they feel very good. So yeah, that's also a very good sign. Thumb rest like that, this plastic thing, stop! Put a metal one on, it's much more secure and it looks a lot better. Same with the button there. If you had a metal one on there, it'd look a lot better. Anyway, that's just me being fussy and moaning. Now there's my friend the little octave key, and you know what it does. go on, do your little wiggly stuff. Look at that. On the neck, it's got 80 super action written on there. It's got the typical Selmer key, and the angle of this neck is really nice. Some people might disagree, or some people might agree with my next thing, but the best thing I found about Selmer saxophones in general is their necks. I just think that the necks have the right size bore. It's maybe just something in how they make them. I don't know what the magic or the voodoo is, but they seem to work very well, and they have a nice characteristic in the tone. Something about Selmer necks I like a lot, and that's why I have quite a few of them. So that was a quick look around this tenor. This one is in very nice condition. It's got some typical signs of use and wear, but I don't care about that. It's all about how does it play and how does it sound. So let's get right into that, and I'll speak to you a lot after I've made a noise on this. Now you just heard this tenor, what do you think? Is it as horrible as people were saying back in the 1980s? I don't think so. You can leave your comments in that section below. Let's have a good old chat like that. I like all that sort of stuff. Nice, personal and interactive. So my thoughts, this tenor really needed that strip down and rebuild. And now the feel of it is a lot better now. The feel under the fingers is good. Have a listen to this sound. That is a very nice sound. The build quality on this is very nice. I like the Super 80s. I'm not really going to go into the whole Mark 6 debate compared to this, but okay, just a little bit. The build quality on this is, what can I say, better. The whole tuning and the intonation is a lot better as well. But that's just facts. Mark 6 players will usually tell you that themselves, that the tunings are a little bit sketchy. Now, I don't want to jump down that whole Mark 6 raging debate. It's not worth it. This should be taken on its own merits as its own individual being, its own entity. And this Super 80 is very closely related to the Mark 7. And I'm pretty sure in the early years of this instrument that they were using some Mark 7 parts. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but you know, spare parts need to be used. Why not use them on the early run of this? That's why this comes in at number 2 behind the Mark 7. The tone and the sound are very okay on this instrument, and I think a lot of that has to do with the neck. As I mentioned earlier in my video, the Selmer necks are very good, and to me that's the best thing about Selmers, the necks, and it reflects in this instrument. How I see this is for somebody who wants to play in a big band, or maybe a nice chilled out jazz quartet, something like that, or maybe even a marching band. It has more of a neutral sound than I'm used to, but not neutral in a bad way. You can sculpt your sound, and as you heard clearly in my demo, I could get my sound on this. I think maybe I misspoke there. It's not a neutral sound, it does have a good sound. The Series 1, this gets a big green tick. Of course, the Mark 6, the SBA, and the new shiny ones get more attention, but the Series 1 should not be overlooked. Yet another tenor I've added to my ridiculous collection. I'm just what you call a degenerate, but I love it. I absolutely love it. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Again, you will catch me in the next one. Have a great day.